Happy Friday, NCC. Great to see you. I hope that you've been enjoying your reading this week as we've been in the book of Matthew, specifically the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5 through 7, as we follow up from Easter Sunday. And so if you haven't read that, I would really encourage you to go back and read Matthew 5 through 7. And if you have read it, read it again, because in Romans 6, Paul talks about, he's talking about baptism, and Paul is making the argument, if Christ has been resurrected and we are in Christ, then we have been resurrected with Jesus. And Paul says then that we can walk in newness of life. And the Sermon on the Mount, we're going to dive into that on Sunday morning and talk about what it means to walk in newness of life as we follow Jesus. And so I would encourage you in preparation for Sunday morning to go read again or for the first time Matthew 5 through 7. Now, a couple things before we get to Sunday, or a couple things I want to share. First of all, thank you, Rachel Watruba, for the children's message or the children's video on Easter Sunday. That was awesome. That was so fun to see those kiddos tell the story of Easter. And so Rachel put that together. And so thank you for that. Easter felt a little more NCC because of it. So speaking of doing things in the way of NCC, just to kind of give you a heads up on some of the behind-the-scenes conversations we're actively talking about. We're actually having a meeting tonight with some folks and kind of leaders within NCC about how do we continue to do ministry going forward in the way and culture and life of NCC. And one of those things I think is communion. And so we really, really value communion. And so be prepared that I think we're going to do communion this Sunday, and we're going to look for ways that we can continue to do communion most every week. And so just kind of want to give you a heads up to be prepared for that this week and going forward. Lastly, I just want to speak real quick about giving. First of all, NCC, we are in a fine position, sound position financially. And we have a lower overhead than many churches, and we have, take a look at the carpet. We don't spend money frivolously around here. And so we have some months of savings, stored up. And so we are fine. And so because of that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving. Thank you for being a generous church. It's noted and it's appreciated. But secondly, I also want to say now is the time to continue to give and to continue to be generous. Not just to NCC, but also think about maybe the missions or the ministries that you support on a regular basis. Continue to give to them. They continue to need your funds. Think about places in the neighborhood, the school, the organizations locally that you could give to, or families that you know that would need help. Often in scary times, we tend to want to hoard, or we tend to want to hide or retreat or to protect what's ours. I think this is a time Paul would commend the churches in Macedonia in 2 Corinthians, that even in their poverty, he applauds them for their generosity. And so I think times like this is a way that we can be the church and be a light in the world is through our generosity. And so I want to encourage you to continue to do that, not just with NCC, but with other missions and ministries and missionaries that you know and that you support. I think that goes a long way in times like this. So I love you, NCC, and I'm looking forward to worshiping with you on Sunday. Have a great weekend.